Good evening, everybody. I'm Ron Gardner, the mayor of Glenwood. We really appreciate everybody signing on. Tonight, we're going to have a semi-meet the candidates, and then we're also going to have some individuals talk about things that are important to the Village of Glenwood residents. We're going to have TJ Summer from Bloom Township. He's the supervisor there, and we'll talk about the services that Bloom Township provides. We're also going to have a representative from SWA, the water agency that the Village of Glenwood has signed on with to provide Lake Michigan water to the residents of the Village of Glenwood. But first, and I'd like to introduce myself. Like I said, my name is Ron Gardner. I'm the mayor of Glenwood. I'm going to introduce our candidates. We'll have to say just a few things. All the way to my left is Sandra Washington. She's the candidate for village clerk on the Glenwood First Party. She's currently the vice president of Brookwood School District 167, and she spent a career in human resources. Talita Hart, to my immediate left, she's also a candidate. She's a candidate, I should say, for village trustee in the Village of Glenwood. She's the current village treasurer and past president of Brookwood District 167, and she is the president and CEO of a non-for-profit organization. To my right is Dion Lynch. Dion's a candidate for a trustee. He currently is the village clerk in the Village of Glenwood, and he's also a probation officer with the Cook County Circuit Court Clerk, Domestic Violence Unit. On the phone we have, or on this virtual meeting, we have Ron Clark. He's one of the candidates for the village trustee. He's a current village trustee, and he spent 12 years on the board. He's retired from both Cook County and the U.S. Army. That's an introduction of who we have on the panel. We're looking forward to hearing feedback from the individuals that have joined us tonight. What you have to do, in the chat box, all you need to do is, and we'll be glad to have our individuals that have joined us tonight, or obviously the candidates here will be glad to address any questions that you pose to us. We're here for the residents. We're here to answer questions. We're here to let you know a little bit about ourselves too. So with that, I'm going to start all the way to my left. We're going to have Sandra Washington, candidate for clerk on the Glenwood First Party. Say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Sandra Washington, and yes, I'm running for village clerk of Glenwood. As Mayor,
Oh, throw me. No. Go lay down.
but yes, my name is Sandra Washington. I am running for village clerk. I'm encouraging all residents of Glenwood to come out and vote. I definitely believe in service in our community. I'm dedicated as a current vice president of the school board, and I hope to earn your trust and to earn your vote on April 6th. Thank you so much.
Talita Hart, to my immediate left, is a candidate for trustee of the Village of Glenwood. Talita.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for your participation after a long day. I know that you could have been doing other things, but we're grateful for you to tune in. I am Talita Hart, and I'm running for trustee. If you elect me as your trustee, I will put my passion, my experience, and organizational thinking to use to work on your behalf. So I encourage everyone to get out and vote on April the 6th. Thank you in advance for your time.
To my right.
She can't practice that. She was told today that.
To my immediate right is Dion Lynch. He's the pilot of this ship right now. So Dion, if you could say a few words. He's running for trustees in our current village clerk.
Good evening, everyone. To Mayor Lugan, my name is Dion Lynch. I'm currently the village clerk. Been in office for the last 4 years. Was successfully elected back in 2017. Office of village trustee with this fine group of individuals, obviously with a progressive agenda for forward-moving, forward-thinking, and collective decision-making for the betterment of Glenwood And so part of doing that is having forums and having these individuals who are able to participate in the conversations that help promote the betterment of Glenwood and help move us forward. So again, my name is Dion Lynch. I look forward to having the opportunity to meet you all, whether virtually or physically in the future, and look forward to your support on April 6th.
And we also have here on our virtual forum, we have Trustee Ron Clark, who's running again for the trustee position. Trustee Clark, if you could say a few words about yourself, we'd appreciate it.
Okay. My name is Ronald Clark. I've been a trustee for a total of 12 years. I've volunteered under the auspices of 4 administrations. We have put together a team of the Glenwood First Party of excellent professionals, both for Glenwood and in their professional life. I'd like to encourage all of the members of our group to go forward with everything that they have put together for the village of Glenwood. I hope that everybody could give us the opportunity to fulfill the dreams, the hopes and dreams of bringing Glenwood forward. I hope that everybody comes out and votes for us on the 6th of April and support this excellent team of men and women to support and bring Glenwood forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. My name, as I said before, is Ron Gardner. I'm the mayor of the village of Glenwood. I'm a lifelong resident of Glenwood. I grew up in the manor. My parents still live there. I spent my youth there, and then I bought a condominium many years ago in Brookwood Points. I've resided in Brookwood Points since 1989. My parents have instilled public service, and that's one of the reasons that I sought out and have become involved not only with the village of Glenwood, but several philanthropic organizations here in the village of Glenwood, and also a lot of Chicago, the Southland, a lot of communities around here formed together with the South Suburban Mayors and Managers, the Chicago Southland Chamber of Commerce, the South Suburban Land Bank, and I hold executive positions in each one of those for the betterment of the region. Because one of the things we have to look at is obviously the title of our team here is Glenwood First. We are Glenwood First, but we also care about what happens in our surrounding suburbs. So we take a look at all that. Our team here is really focused on 3 things. We're focused on fiscal accountability, which is very important to the lives and the individuals, residents of the village of Glenwood. So that's one of the top priorities that we have. And we'll have a separate forum on our fiscal status of the village of Glenwood. We haven't raised the levy or taxes from the village of Glenwood for over 3 years now. And we're going to continue to try and keep the burden of real estate taxes down on the residents of the village of Glenwood. We also have a very steel-eyed focus on business development in the village of Glenwood. Obviously, the Glenwood Plaza has been one of our main subjects as far as where to get business development in the village. That's where the window to our town. So as everybody can see, we have a brew pub coming in. It's under construction. We have a brand new Burger King there. We have an Anytime Fitness and a vet. We've just been under contract for the existing structure that's there with Washland. We have other successful projects going on in town. Morrison, which is in the industrial park over by the brand new NICOR facility that was built within the last 2 years. Basically across the street, they're going to expand for an 80,000 square foot addition to their building. So we have a lot of, and we'll have another forum on the business development that we have going in the village of Glenwood. And the third tier, or the third leg of our stool, as far as our platform goes, is public safety, both with police, fire, and public works. We've gone through some hard times with the storm that we had recently. So it's definitely a main focus for us, providing a brand new ambulance service we did a few years ago to reduce the response times to individuals in their time of need. We're very proud of our emergency services and what we've been able to accomplish. So with that, again, we're going to have our presenters say a few things at this forum. If you could put your name and address, I'm thinking to a board meeting. If you could just put in the chat box, put your questions, we will address those questions both to our guests and then also to ourselves, the candidates of the Glenwood First Party. First, we'll have we'd like to welcome and then have them give a presentation. Bloom Township, TJ Summer, who's the supervisor in Bloom Township. He does a fantastic job. And one of the things that we wanted to do is have him come out. Bloom Township has a myriad of services that they provide to the residents of the area and specifically to the village of Glenwood. So I wanted to ask TJ to come on to see what type of things he can bring to the ears and eyes of residents of the village of Glenwood. So TJ, we really appreciate you joining us. If you could say a few words, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Mayor, and the board that's sitting there this evening. I appreciate the time. As you know, I've had the honor of serving as the Bloom Township Supervisor for a while. It's a privilege representing the 90,000 residents in 12 communities that comprise Bloom Township. It can be a daunting task, but township government is a wonderful thing and unfortunately not as well known as it should be. Over the course of my tenure and my board's tenure, we are really proud of the fact that we've provided a professional, responsible, and honest government. Over the many, many years, there has never been one scintilla of a hint of any kind of scandal with this government, no accusations of any kind of misproprieties. I am proud of the boards I've had. We've always worked together, and we would like to continue working together. We have an election, as you do, on April 6th. My slate is the current incumbent slate, all Democrats, all elected as Democrats, and all strong Democrats. And we believe in the platform of the Democratic Party, and we intend to continue what we've been doing for so long. As far as, and just as a step back, the name of our party is Keep Bloom Strong. Unfortunately, you're going to have 18 different candidates running in this April 6th election for the township. All 18 are Democrats. Some may have the name Democrat after their name on the ballot. Others will have, my slate will have the name Keep Bloom Strong. One will have the name of Independent, but all are Democrats. So it's an unusual situation. As far as the township goes, the myriad of services, like you said, Mayor, it's amazing. Everything from general assistance, where we are charged with the mission of taking care of the needy, the people who have lost their home, the people who need utility assistance, the people who need emergency assistance on an immediate basis. There's no time to wait. Someone's home burns down, they come to the township. We will help provide them with some funding so they can get food, they can get new clothing. We will put them up in a hotel for as long as it takes until they can get their feet on the ground. Our senior services department is simply renowned throughout the state. For everything we do, we have our transportation services for our seniors, for our disabled. We are one of the top Medicare consulting organizations in the state. We have lunches, we have food programs. It just goes on and on and on. We have, it's with the snow and with the COVID virus, we've actually been going to the effort of calling every senior citizen in the township, which pretty much leads to 3,000 or 4,000. And it's amazing to see how grateful they are for the phone call that you're checking on them. It's amazing to see how many people didn't know that we have a snow removal program at the township and we have a grass cutting program at the township for seniors. So if you register for the program, every 2 weeks during the summer, a private vendor is going to come and cut your lawn. The senior pays $5. The township picks up the other 20. And the same thing with the snow, although snow is more difficult because it's less predictable. Again, we haven't had snow for 2 years. Now we got 12 feet at one time. It's a little tough, but it's the same program. We will have a private vendor come to your home, remove the snow. Your share of the fee is $5. We'll pick up the other 20 or 25. So there's a myriad of programs. Our food pantry has just become off the charts renowned. What was once ancillary to some other local food pantries we've expanded it, especially under the oversight of Mike Noonan, who's one of our trustees, and came in with that as a personal mission. We were promised a lot of grant money here and there to get that never came through. However, because of the financial prudence we've governed ourselves with, when it came time to come up with that $700,000 to expand that the food pantry and do the expansion and put in all the infrastructure that was necessary, we had it. So today that food pantry feeds about 1,500 people a month. And the milk program that we've had, I think Mayor, you were there the day when we were giving the milk out, and the line literally went from the back of the township to Valmer Road, over to Halsted, and south on Halsted, almost to Joel Road. It literally, I participate in these things, my trustees participate in this, and it brings a tear to your eye. I mean, the need out there is so great, and that's what the township is there for, and that's what the township has done, and it has done it for less than 1.5% of your entire tax bill. We are one of the, if not the lowest portion of your tax bill, and we provide just a tremendous array of services. And I think we need to spread the word more about what the township offers. We also have youth services. We're renowned for that. Our counseling, our youth programs, our work programs during the summer. We employ over 100 children every summer. So we think we're doing a pretty darn good job. We want to continue to do that. In the next 4 years, I think our big mission will be, it's certainly my mission, once the election is over and we'll get that far, is to concentrate on being leadership to address the homeless problem. Because we just cannot have folks walking around in horrendous heat and walking around in tremendous cold like this last couple of weeks we've had, and not have some plan to take care of these people. And the issue is, it's not a Glenwood problem. It's not a Chicago Heights problem or a Flossmoor problem. It's a regional problem. And no large regional organization has picked up the ball and carried it. So what I will be proposing to my board is that we become the leadership on this issue. We seek participation from each municipality, assisted, part of that will be funding from each municipality, and we come up with a real solution for the Bloom Township area for this horrible regional problem. So that's it. In a nutshell, as short as I can make it, we believe in what we do. We believe in our mission. We believe in our community partners like Glenwood, Chicago Heights, Park Forest, Linwood, Lansing, Flossmoor, Limpy Fields, Ford Heights especially, who we have a special relationship. We're there constantly trying to help as much as we can. We want to continue that. And I humbly believe that we deserve the opportunity to do that.
I really appreciate the information, TJ, and we appreciate everything Bloom Township does, both especially in Glenwood and the region. We really appreciate everything you do. If you could, we're going to have a short presentation for our other guests. Could you stick around for any questions that we may have?
Certainly.
Okay, thank you, TJ. Our next presenter is SWA, the Southland Water Agency. We have a representative from there, Aaron Fundage. As everybody knows, we did sign a new contract with the SWA to provide Lake Michigan water to the village of Glenwood. And we just wanted to have the SWA on to just make a presentation to answer any questions that people may have and to alleviate any concerns or any thoughts that are out there as far as things that might not be true. So if we could, Aaron Fundich, if you could just give a brief presentation about the SWA, and then at the end we'll open for the questions there also.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the board and Glenwood First Party. I wasn't 100% sure whether I should start all the way from the beginning or not, but I'll try to do that really quickly. But the SWA was formed in May of 2019 with the express purpose of providing consistent, cost-effective, high-quality water to the south suburbs. In the prior decade or thereabouts, rates from both the city of Chicago and the city of Hammond had tripled. And so South Suburban mayors and managers had established a task force that ultimately resulted in some communities getting together and forming the SWA, which occurred in May of 2019. The three charter communities were South Holland, Thornton, and East Hazelcrest. And what they had done within about 6 months of their formation was to be able to negotiate a long-term contract for lake access into Lake Michigan near Buffington Harbor. And so shortly thereafter, about a year ago now, in February of 2020, the agency held a forum at the South Holland Community Center for a good number of the south suburbs. I think there was 16 communities that were represented to understand what the opportunity was going to be going forward. And COVID hit, but despite that, within about 4 months afterward, 5 months afterwards, the agency, the value proposition of the agency was such that a total of 14 communities in the Southland have committed to purchasing water from the agency once the system is built, which is estimated in about 2028. The total population of this group it exceeds 175,000 today, and the agency is actually still in negotiations with additional communities as we speak. Glenwood, the benefits to Glenwood of becoming an early adopter community last summer are basically that they're going to be guaranteed the lowest rate that the agency is able to provide throughout the duration. The first year is guaranteed to be at least 5% below current supplier rates, and there would be no rate increase whatsoever for 10 years thereafter. And that will be true of all the early adopter communities. After that, for the following 40 years of the contract, there would never be more than a 2% rate increase in any given year. So Glenwood, along with the other early adopter communities, had invested what's ultimately a really small dollar amount to help cover certain soft costs that the agency has on the front end. In Glenwood's case, it was $62,000 payable over 3 years. This investment is ultimately going to save millions of dollars over the next generation as the system matures. So that's basically what, we had discussions up to that point last summer. Since that time, in October of last year, the agency had submitted a formal letter of interest to the United States EPA, along with preliminary engineering studies that would basically help to provide low interest loan financing from the United States government to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars to ultimately make the project occur. They also began negotiating land contracts with 3 different potential locations that were looking to put the water treatment plant facility for the agency. Those are still, there's one that's in very serious negotiations right now. There's still, we're not locking all into one, but at the same time, we've got options that are available on multiple properties right now for that. As many people have heard or may have read recently, the agency was also in negotiations with the city of Joliet for the potential to partner up with Joliet and even other communities all the way in Will County. Joliet went through a rigorous 3-year study, and while the agency was one of their finalists, they ultimately decided to purchase water from the city of Chicago. That occurred last month. The agency, as we communicated last summer, was committed to move forward with or without Joliet. It would have been great if they joined us, but they chose the path that they identified was most advantageous for Joliet. In January, just last month, about a month ago, we did receive feedback from United States EPA that as part of their review process of the SWA's application, it was rated highly enough nationwide that it is a candidate for future funding from the US EPA. We're currently on a wait list, and which we view as a big positive, because there's only 3 projects nationwide that made it to that wait list. And it's a function of fiscal constraints that they had in the current budget year. But the EPA staff is going to be working with SWA staff in the coming months to put our project in the best possible light for the next fiscal year of applications, which will take place this spring. The agency is also, in fact, our next executive committee meeting is actually tomorrow. One of the key topics that we'll be discussing is the first wave of interim financing that the agency is considering in a couple different areas. We're going to go to the most advantageous funding source that will finance the next 18 months or so of operations. It's important to recognize that this financing will be by the agency itself. There will be no future funding requests from Glenwood or any of the other customer communities. This is all based on the agency financing model. But that's going to help fund certain things. Number one, closing costs and ultimate final of the 40 or so acres that we intend to utilize for a water treatment facility. There's also going to be a number of preliminary engineering activities, everything from doing corrosion control studies to mapping the bottom of the lake, doing geotechnical work this summer in Lake Michigan, to finalizing the final water route to get us to the Illinois side of the border. So there's quite a few things that'll go on in the coming 12 to 18 months that, are going to be very critical to keep our schedule, which is to ultimately put a shovel in the ground in 2024 with the intent of water flowing in 2027, 2028. That's the time frame right now. So I think with that, that's where we stand today. If there are any questions, I'm more than happy to try and answer them.
Very much, Aaron. We really appreciate that. Before we get the questions from the chat box, I'm going to go ahead and ask our panelists here from the Glenwood First Party for any questions that they have. I'll start it down to Dan. Sandra, did you have any questions for Aaron from the SWA?
Question, Aaron.
You don't have to watch it, man. Oh, I don't know. I'd say it began at 7. I'd say it's going to be over by 8.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Aaron. My name is Sandra Washington. The question that I had that I'm sure other residents of Glenwood might have wanted to know is regarding those communities that have already been early adopters. Is there a minimum number that you're looking for in terms of being on target? And, because there was, the Joliet, and I understand now that wasn't anything that held up, but just wanted to know for some of the residents in terms of, is there a certain number of communities that is necessary in order to move forward with this agreement?
That's a great question. Thank you. What we had communicated to an entire year ago, before any of the communities signed on, was that it was determined that we needed a minimum water usage of about 20 million gallons a day in order to guarantee that our rate could be at or below Chicago's rate from day one. We knew all along that over the course of the next 40, 50, 60 years, it will definitely be lower. But in order to make it work, we have to make it lower on the first day. And in order to do that, to have the economies of scale necessary to make sure that the rates would get that low, we needed a minimum of 20 million gallons. The 14 communities that have signed up have a total of 24 million gallons per day. So we actually exceeded our minimum threshold by about 20%. And we are still hopeful that others are still going to be joining us in the coming year.
Thank you.
Good evening, Aaron. My question question for you is, for the residents who do not believe that this was a good choice for the village, can you speak to the advantages of the village making the commitment to come on board at the early stage as opposed to waiting later?
Sure. The early adopter communities, those that signed up by July of last year, were provided certain contractual guarantees. And these are in the contract that the agency is required to abide by. And these are the lowest rate guarantees. It included a minimum savings of 5% in year one. Communities that sign up at later dates will not be guaranteed a minimum of 5%. They may be guaranteed a minimum of 2% savings, but the early adopters are going to start with the lowest rates in comparison from day one. And the window for others to achieve that has already passed, quite frankly. The other advantage that Glenwood had, along with the other early adopter communities, was that the investment into the agency was considerably lower. Glenwood paid $50,000 per MGD, which is per million gallons a day of water usage. So for Glenwood, that turned out to be about $62,000. Communities going forward, in fact, now that number is 5 times the amount. It's $250,000 per MGD. So Glenwood was able to get in on the lowest upfront cost, as well as have the highest long-term savings by becoming an early adopter. So those are a couple of the very key advantages.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a quick question for TJ. TJ, my question is, Bloom Township provides a great number of services for the residents of the village. My question is, what's the best way to have them sign up for these services?
Ron, your microphone's a little low, but I got the question. The easiest way to do it is call the Township Center, 754-9400. If they do get an answering machine, they'll get a call back the same day, and we'll get them to the right place, and we'll get them signed up for the program.
Fantastic. Thank you. Dion.
Supervisor Summers, I did have one question for you. I'm sorry, actually kind of a threefold question. And, obviously we know that the township offers several different resources for assistance with getting taxes lowered, for mortgage or rental relief programs, then also jobs for youth. And so one of the hidden gems with the township is that a lot of people don't know that these services are offered. So what can we do to commit to get more seminars or education directly to the village for our youth, for our seniors, for those who are struggling with mortgages or rental assistance, that they know that these things are accessible or available to them? Can we, somewhere down the near future, partner to have someone from the township come to the village to host these seminars, to present these classes, to help, current and new homeowners to help understand how to get the taxes lowered, or provide assistance for mortgage relief, or just even for our youth, right? So we know with COVID and things, there's a lot of idle time. And so we want to try to be as proactive as possible with providing these opportunities for youth to be involved.
Yeah, it's a good question. And until COVID came, we had a regular presence by one of our general assistance workers who would go out to the different communities, to the council meetings, and make his case for what the township has to offer. There's 8 of us elected officials at the township, and we do what we do to advertise, websites, newsletters, social media, whatever we can do. But at the end of the day, every board member of every one of those 12 communities that's part of Bloom Township is an ambassador for the township services. Our legal mandates, our mission is different from yours as a Glenwood Village Board or Chicago Heights as a city council. You have things you're mandated to deal with, ours are different. So we look forward to having you and every other community be our ambassadors, and we can arrange meetings once the COVID's over and people actually start having regular live meetings again. You know, we will reinstitute our visiting GA person to go out there, and anybody else you need. Our assessor does it on a regular basis when she's requested to. We'd love to do it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're all looking for COVID to go by the wayside. So hopefully we're moving in that direction. We do have some questions. Deanna, if you can answer those questions.
So I'll start with the first question that I got that came in. And this question is for the SWA. And the question is, at this time, are the right-of-way commitments legally binding or verbal? And what happens if one or two right-of-way commitments fail through?
Another good question. And to be honest, that is a question that is, it's relevant because our route is not 100% finalized at this point, partially because exactly where the water treatment plant is going to be located, we're still looking at our top 3 options. So what has been done, and on the Indiana side, we do have a signed memorandum of understanding with the city of Gary. We're in the process of obtaining the exact same type of memorandum of understanding with Griffith and Highland and Munster in order that we will work together to, process the project through those communities to get to the Illinois side. On the Illinois side, every community that is going to be an SWA customer, that is within our water supply contracts, that the municipalities will grant access to right-of-way and so forth. So that's already a contractual term. But in certain cases, we're not necessarily using community right-of-ways. Construction costs may very well be less by going, say, through a ComEd corridor. And we're also in discussions with ComEd about that. Final agreements, especially with an entity like ComEd or NIPSCO, which is its Indiana counterpart, are unlikely until we get further along with final engineering. But the framework for those agreements are being openly discussed and have been for quite some time.
Thank you, Aaron. And so one of the other questions were kind of a follow-up to a statement you made earlier. The question is, will the SWA come back to the taxpayers of Glenwood for more money or a guarantee of bonds?
No. The 3 charter member communities, South Holland, Thornton, and East Hazel Crest, who originally formed the agency via intergovernmental agreement, ultimately the agency via those 3 communities will, and I'm not a financial wizard, but they will ultimately be in charge of the agency, will conduct all financing. And it's very important to realize that is why it was important last summer that the agency attained the number of community commitments that it did. The water supply contracts that are executed are ultimately what will repay financing, whether through revenue bonds or whether through IEPA loans, whatever, or US EPA loans. It's those water supply contracts that form the basis for the agency to repay its debt. So there will be no other tax or contributions from the customer communities. It will only be the rates that the ratepayers pay.
Thank you, Aaron. A few more questions. Another question from a resident is, when is the guarantee date start? I think that the question is referring to, do we have a guaranteed start date for construction?
Yes. We are, as I mentioned, we are estimating that water service would begin in 2028. We're very confident of that timeframe. Contractually, we gave ourselves a little bit of contingency, and I believe the date that's in the contract is we must provide service by June 1st of 2030. So there's a 2-year contingency just in case, someone brought up the question about right-of-way, and if that requires that we change the route a little bit, there could be delays. It happens in major projects like this, but we believe very strongly that 2028 is when the water service will start, and that is when the guarantees begin. is right from the day that water is available.
And one other question, Aaron, is what assets does the SWA currently have?
Sure. Well, the agency has they've got an amount of cash access right now because as Glenwood and Alsip and South Holland and all the other communities that contributed 50,000 gallon or $50,000 per million gallons last summer, they did collect a certain amount of cash. And that is that is an asset of the agency. It's several $100,000. I honestly don't know the number at the top of my head. That they currently still have in that account. But the other big asset that they have are those water supply contracts, because those again are going to form the basis for the agency to finance the construction of the project when that time comes.
Fantastic. Aaron, you're a hot topic tonight, needless to say. So, more questions for you. Then we switch back over to Supervisor Summer. We've got some questions for him. An additional question was, does the SWA contract with Glenwood allow for any special assessments?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear that.
Does the SWA contract with Glenwood allow for any special assessments?
Special assessments that would be charged extra to Glenwood?
That's my assumption of the question.
No.
And then another question is, what rate will the Village of Glenwood pay the SWA? And what rate will the Village of Glenwood charge the residents and businesses? And I think that's a two-part question, one for the team, and then the initial question is more or less for SWA.
Sure. The initial part of the question is contractually, the agency has to provide a rate that is at least 5% lower than what Glenwood currently buys water for. Or that they will buy water for at the date the water is available. The exact number is not known yet, because if we are successful in getting more communities to join, we presume that the rate will be even lower than what we were projecting at that 20 million gallons a day minimum. So until we have all known contracts, and then ultimately all known exact construction costs, it's going to vary. But we believe, and we believe it strongly enough that the agency put it in the contract, that it will be at least 5% below what your rate would be in 2028. So, and as far as what the communities charge the residents, that's going to, just like it is today, that remains a decision of each individual community based on their own cost to deliver service, because the village will still have full maintenance responsibilities of its water system, just like it does today. And it will have its cost structure, with personnel and equipment and chemicals, whatever else goes into as you maintain your own water system. Those are up to each individual municipality.
And I can answer that for the Glenwood First Party. We do plan on passing the savings on to the residents of the Village of Glenwood. There's no question about that. Obviously, the rates are passed via ordinance, so it would require a vote by the village board as far as to pass those savings on. But that is definitely the position of the Glenwood First Party.
And so, Aaron, just this is a question just for clarity for the residents. How many towns do we have involved today?
There's a total of 14 currently involved.
And can you tell us those off the top of your head?
All right, I by memory, Glenwood is number one, Glenwood first. But there is South Holland, Thornton, East Hazelcrest, Calumet City. Now, Calumet City supplies Burnham, so Burnham is in that total. Lansing supplies Linwood, so both of them are in that total. Midlothian, Alsip, and Alsip serves Palos Heights, Crestwood, and the South Palos Township Sanitary District. So I think that's all 14. I'm trying to remember if I left any out, but that gives you a pretty good feel for it.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. Supervisor Summer, we had some additional questions for you. Supervisor Summer, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. It looks like it froze for a second, though.
We got you. Thank you. Thank you for sticking around. Some additional questions we had for some of the residents were kind of detailed to more or less job opportunities specifically for Glenwood residents. We know that a lot of the youth programs are just for the individuals who live in a township, but what can we do to ensure that each village is getting a piece of the pie with the youth from that specific community?
You know, picking out the youth employment applications is one of the most difficult things I do every year because there are so many of them. I will literally get a stack of 200 to 300 and perhaps have 100 job openings. And the way I do it is to always go through it and make sure that there's an allocation for each town. So I do the best I can to make sure that each town's represented on the hiring that takes place.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Supervisor Summer and Aaron Fundage from the SWA. We really appreciate your time tonight. I think you provided valuable information to the residents of the village of Glenwood, and we appreciate everything you guys do. We wanted to make sure that we kept these forums to 45 minutes or so. We don't want to take up a lot of time out of your busy schedule, so we're going to do several of these, and we'll keep them, to the 45-minute time frame. Again, we're going to do future ones. If you could look at our Facebook page, which is Glenwood First, or our website, glenwoodfirst.com. We would appreciate it. You can ask us any questions. We're more than willing to answer any questions that people have. We're here for you. Our main focus is on the residents of the village of Glenwood. So with that, we'll just say a few parting comments. We'll go ahead and go down the road. Clerk candidate Sandra Washington, if you want to say a few parting words.
Oh, just to thank everyone for tuning in, and definitely we want to be a source of information. Sometimes we hear information from different sources, but we believe as the Glenwood First Party that we want to make sure that you get your questions answered. Everyone has a voice. We may not always agree, but we definitely respect each and every resident of Glenwood and want to hear from you. So if there are any questions that went unanswered, if you would like to follow up, feel free to visit our website or visit our Facebook page. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Trustee candidate Talia Hart.
Want to say thank everybody. Wish you a blessed week going forward. Any questions that you have, please visit our website at www.glenwoodfirst.com for facts, and we wish you well.
Thank you. Trustee candidate and current clerk Dion Lynch.
I think that my colleagues have echoed some of the same sentiments that we all can agree on, is that part of the reason, not only for informational purposes, but also to try to put to rest or address itching questions that residents have or concerns they wanted to bring to light. And so we thought it best to have a solution-focused theme where we're able to get answers and or results directly from those individuals responsible for the projects and the growth that the Glenwood is looking forward to, and that's looking forward to partner with Glenwood. So we appreciate Bloom Township Supervisor Summer and then SWA being present for answering these questions. Obviously, as we near towards the mark of the election, April 6th, we're hopeful for your support. As Sandra alluded to, while we always don't agree on everything, our ultimate goal is to create platforms where we figure out how to pull together and work together for the betterment of the village, as opposed to hearsay. So I think that tonight was a great ocular demonstration of getting straight to the facts and being able to answer questions directly to the source. So again, we appreciate Supervisor Summer. We appreciate you, Aaron, SWA for taking the time to answer questions, to provide some insight. And we look forward to working with you all in the future. We look forward to speaking with the residents and talking to you all directly. Again, as Sandra and Talita alluded to, we have our social media and our website where we can take questions, where we can provide informed responses to try to put some questions or concerns to rest. So we look forward to your support April 6th, and we appreciate you guys for taking the time for tuning in with us.
Trustee Clark and candidate Clark for trustee. Do you want to say a few parting words? Trustee Clark. He's still on there?
Yeah, he's muted.
You're muted.
I unmuted, okay. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, Ron.
Okay. I'd like to thank everybody for giving up their time, our guests, and the other people that have tuned in. I would like to say that everybody to come out and vote on April 6th. We are professional, honest, and dedicated people, and we we all live in the village of Glenwood for quite some time. A lot of us work in the village of Glenwood and raise our families and everything. So this is a beautiful place to live, work, and raise our family. And I want to thank everybody for their time. Come on and vote for the Glenwood First Party on April 6th.
Thank you very much, Ron. We really appreciate it. Again, Supervisor Summer, thank you very much. And Aaron from SWA, thank you guys very much. If you, again, as we stated, go to our Facebook page or our website, Glenwood First, we would appreciate it. Our future topics will be based on the feedback we get from you guys. Any issues you have from the village, we're all here available for you to answer any questions and to help you out in any way that we can. This is a community, and we're better as a community when we're all together. So thank you, everybody, and please look at our website for future forums. We would appreciate it, and have a great night, everybody. Thank you.
Vote Glenwood.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Having me.
Glenwood First.